Hey everybody, Jason here with another LaunchBox Developer Sessions video. And so this week we recorded two brand new live development sessions on Twitch, and those videos are available here on YouTube. We've been going live every Monday and Wednesday at 9:30 a.m. and that's been going very well, so we're going to keep that up going forward. As for progress this past week, we've continued to tweak and clean up the new big box views. We fixed a bunch of bugs, and most importantly, we added a new platforms wheel, very similar to Hyperspin. And we've gotten a lot of hype on that from the community. A lot of great feedback. People are really excited about the way that's looking. So do check that out in the latest beta. Put out a beta, I believe, yesterday or maybe the day before with that in there. So lots of new views. We're cleaning that stuff up. I am currently working on metadata updates so that you can download the updated metadata from the LaunchBox Games database into LaunchBox itself. Should have a new beta out with that functionality before the end of the week. We do have a slight change of plans since last week's LaunchBox Developer Sessions video. Originally, we planned to get all the metadata submissions and syncing to the LaunchBox Games database in before the 6.0 official release, but there's been so much hype surrounding the new big box features that I want to push that out sooner rather than later. So for the rest of the week and next week, we're going to be focusing on wrapping up and solidifying the big box changes as well as the new metadata downloads. And then hopefully we can put out the 6.0 official release around the end of next week. And then from there, of course, we'll jump back into submissions and syncing with the LaunchBox Games database for version 6.1. So we definitely have our work cut out for us, but I'm extremely excited about getting back into the submissions and syncing directly with the LaunchBox Games database directly in LaunchBox. I'm excited to get that stuff going. We've been putting it off because we're trying to do what the community is asking for, specifically, which has been focus on big box. So that's what we've been doing for the past few weeks, maybe even a month now. But I'm very excited to get back to syncing with the LaunchBox Games database and allowing you to contribute your metadata changes to the database from directly within LaunchBox. All right, so that's where we're headed. We did get some great questions in last week's video, so here we go. Berm, let's start off with him. He mentioned that we were in talks last week about adding video support to the LaunchBox Games database so that you could contribute and download videos. And Berm gave us a link to on Reddit to a guy who's coming up with a lot of free, literally free, that we could use elsewhere because I think it's open. It's considered truly free, open source, whatever. And he's contributed a number of free videos, and I've watched the videos, and they're great videos. They don't have the title screens and some of the niceties that some of the videos from EMU Movies has. He's also, I'm not sure if it's the same guy on the Reddit post. You can find the link in last week's video. I'm not sure if it's the same guy that's producing the videos as the guy that posted on Reddit, but man, the guy that posted on Reddit was kind of being a jerk about it, calling everybody who makes you pay for the videos like EMU Movies a scammer and all this stuff. So that doesn't really make me all warm and fuzzy about these particular videos, but there are a number of freely available videos there. I'll try and get the link for that in the description or here in the video if you're interested in downloading those. It's nowhere near the amount of videos that are available for EMU Movies, and they don't seem to be organized very well, so it's not going to be nearly as easy to get them into LaunchBox and all that stuff. But there are some freely available videos out there, which is great. And that does make me think that it's more feasible that we could get some progress going, getting videos up to the games database. So I appreciate that link. Let me know your comments on that stuff, your thoughts on how important that might be to get implemented, and um, you know, your thoughts on making this stuff free when other people are providing it already for a paid um, subscription. So moving on, Clive Barker. Um, Clive is our awesome guy who does the Spanish translation of LaunchBox, and he was the very first guy to translate LaunchBox and did such an amazing job with it. So I really appreciate him and the community. His first question is, what are your favorite books, novels? Uh, to be completely honest, uh, I have been obsessed with development since I was in junior high. Um, and there was a specific point in time. I used to love reading books. And in my youth, up until the middle of junior high, I read books constantly. And then I got into development, and it kind of took all that time away. And it's kind of sad. I'm not saying um, I don't read any books, but I don't read very many books. I don't really read enough books or novels at least. Obviously, I read a lot of stuff online in particular all day long. But as far as novels, I'm not really even versed enough to say what my favorite novels are because I barely read any. And that's embarrassing to admit, but it is what it is. I spend all my time in the code, and I read all day long, and I don't really feel like reading a novel at the end of the day. I feel like sitting down and playing a video game instead. So I don't have a good answer for that, Clive, unfortunately. What are your views on Linux in general? He asks. Oh man, I love Linux. I think it's a very crucial part um, of computing. There's so many good things that have come out of that open source movement, specifically from Linux. I have, over the years, I've spent a lot of time in Linux. Um, it's not my choice of daily driver, obviously, since I'm developing for Windows. Um, the reason why I'm constantly sticking with Windows over the years, I have spent significant time in Linux. I've spent significant time in OS 10. I've given everything a good shot just because that's been a hobby of mine. I want to see what's out there. I want to see everything available. I want to play with it. And there was a point where there was probably a 6 month period where I tried to do everything on Linux. There's been at least a year period that I've spent primarily on Mac OS 10. Um, so I have really put a lot of time into all the operating systems. And the one thing that keeps me coming back to Windows, the only thing that keeps me coming back to Windows is Microsoft development tools. Um, the reason why Microsoft wins constantly, Microsoft wins and continues to win and probably won't stop winning for a very long time, has nothing to do with how great Windows is. It has nothing to do with how great Office is, and it has nothing to do with um, any of the negatives either. It has everything to do with the fact that Microsoft's development tools are better than anybody else's. And so what that means is you have a much greater library of applications available for Windows than you do for any other platform. And you can argue with me that, Mac's apps are better than Windows. Mac does have some killer apps, and they're very good, but the selection is always better on Windows. Um, there are a couple things that Mac, from an application perspective, that I found that Mac does better. Um, and it seems like developers on Apple products seem to be a lot more focused on UI and making a cleaner experience. So I'll give the Apple guys that. But almost always there's more functionality available on Windows. Um, and the reason for that is literally because Microsoft's development tools are the best development tools available. and I'll keep with that, um, or I'll swear by that to my grave until it changes, because hopefully I mean, I'd love to see the open source development tools be the best, but they're nowhere near it. Apple's development tools, as far as I'm concerned, are a darn joke. Every time I try and develop for Apple, I just get angry because they've got their own proprietary language that only works for them. And if you want to develop for Apple, you've got to learn this Objective-C stuff, which in my eyes, obviously it's a decent language. I appreciate it, but in my eyes, I shouldn't have to relearn how to develop for Apple. I shouldn't. I mean, it's kind of stupid that I have to learn a brand new language that's completely different from C++, from Java, from C Sharp. All the main languages have very, very similar syntaxes, have very, very similar approaches, and Objective-C is just out there, completely different from everything else. So that's one frustration for me with OS 10. I tried to get into all that stuff, but I felt like I had to relearn everything, basically reinvent the wheel as far as my education or what I've learned over the years, development-wise. And so that got me away from Apple. I'm on a huge tangent here, but Linux, I know Java for Linux development fairly well. I have developed for Android. I haven't done a lot of C, C++, GUI development or visual development for Linux, but I would definitely choose that over Mac development. Um, I'm excited about some of the about .NET coming to Linux and OS 10 with the latest .NET stuff coming out. I can't remember. I think it's .NET Core or something like that. So that is going to hopefully introduce the possibility of bringing this stuff to Linux and OS 10 to a much greater extent. There's still going to be work involved with that, but I think that's exciting as far as being able to get that stuff to get LaunchBox and BigBox on other platforms. So we'll see where that goes. And then finally, Clive asks, have you ever considered making a mod for a game you like? The closest I've ever got to making a mod was back in the Quake 2 days. I got into level design for a bit when I was a kid and put out some levels for Quake 2 and Quake, and really loved that experience, really enjoyed that. I remember getting into CAD in high school and already having that under my belt, level design to a certain extent under my belt, and just, the class was a breeze because I already understood most of the concepts. So that was cool. Not that CAD and level design are the same thing or extremely similar, because they're not. They're very different. But I already had the 3D mindset in my head about how it all worked. But no, I've never really built a mod. Believe it or not, I've never done that. And I have built games over the years, stupid little games, quite a few of them really. Most of them I abandoned before completing, but I built a pool game. I built checkers. I built lots of little games like that over the years, and they're not really available because they're embarrassing. But I still have all that stuff. But I've never made a mod before, a real true mod. And I'm not sure why that is. I guess I've just never been, I've never been that intrigued by it for some reason. I'd rather build something, new, I guess. Admittedly, I'm not that great of a C++ developer. I've never really done that much significant in C++, and most mod stuff does require C++. So that's probably part of it. All right, and then moving on, got a few questions here from Angelo Bodetti, and he says, his first question is, LaunchBox seems slower than Hyperspin when bouncing through games, platforms, and media. It's a little surprising because Hyperspin is very media heavy, but somehow seems faster. Is this something you're looking to address? Is it because you use one master XML for everything instead of one per system? So that is one thing I want to focus on for the 6.0 release. Um, Specifically, I will say if you're using the VLC video playback engine in Big Box, that has a lot more performance issues than if you're using the Windows Media Player video playback engine. So you might find, or you will find, that if you're using the VLC engine and you switch to Windows Media Player, the performance will get a lot better. So I highly suggest switching over. If your system works with the Windows Media Player playback engine and your videos work with the Windows Media Player playback engine, do switch over and you'll have a much better experience. A lot of those issues came up recently in the live development session. And you can watch me actually in the latest live development session video. You can watch me struggle with trying to fix some of those performance issues with the VLC video playback engine. But yes, I definitely have some work to do specifically with VLC, but also in making the experience smoother and all that stuff. So I do want to focus on that some yet before the 6.0 release, which is out next week. I will say though that on a modern system with modern hardware that came out in the last year or two, actually good hardware, you shouldn't be having significant performance issues. And if you are, let me know, and we can work through it. But unfortunately, of course, not everybody is using up-to-date hardware. So it's still very important for me to work through those performance issues as best I can and make everything as smooth as possible. So yes, that is definitely planned. That's a major focus. Anytime I see a hiccup in Big Box, it drives me nuts. So yeah, I'm with you. We'll definitely keep focusing on that to make it as performant as possible. Number 2, he says, I recently loaded the Commodore Amiga into LaunchBox. As you know, the working ROM set is the WHD load set, which does not have friendly names. Because those names are what Hyperspin uses, Emu Movies finds the batch and downloads metadata. The issue is that the names in LaunchBox and Big Box are not adjusted and still keep the file names. Are you looking to import Hyperspin names or Emu Movies names when there isn't an entry in the LaunchBox database, but there is in Emu Movies? So, unfortunately, Emu Movies provides media. So they got the images, the videos, the manuals, the soundtracks, all that stuff is provided by Emu Movies. However, Emu Movies is not a database of game metadata. So as far as I know, they don't even have the game titles available in their database for you to download. So unfortunately, that's not an option. We can't steal that. We can't download that stuff from Emu Movies. If we could, I would have implemented that already. So that said, yes, I recognize for MAME, we have our own built-in database that will automatically get the right titles for the games, but not for everything else like Commodore Amiga. So I do plan on solving that issue with the LaunchBox Games database by allowing you to specify the file name, and then we can use that data going forward. That's probably not going to happen immediately, but that is planned because I know there's not very many platforms where that's an issue, but it is an issue that we need to solve for a few of them like Commodore Amiga. Okay, so that's that. And number 3, which is the last question we have, it says, because I am a Hyperspin defector, however you say that, I already have thousands of movies, box art, etc. Is there functionality where I can point LaunchBox to my already existing media folders? There absolutely is. On a platform by platform basis, you can go into Manage Platforms in LaunchBox, not in Big Box. Go into LaunchBox and go to Tools, Manage Platforms, and you'll see your list of platforms there. You can double click on a platform and then manage all the folders where all your media comes from for that particular platform. So you can reassign all the folders. You may need to go Tools, refresh all images so that all the images will show up after you do that. But that should allow you to keep all your media in the same locations as it is for Hyperspin, and use it in LaunchBox as well. So that's it for questions. Thank you, guys. I'm going to continue in my big box collection here. I'm going to pull out Myst, which is another favorite adventure game of mine from my youth. Now, I wouldn't say that Myst is anywhere near on par with King's Quest VI from which is my absolute favorite of all time. I covered that in last week's video, but it is an excellent game. It's very different, very, very different from King's Quest VI. I would call this the first modern adventure game, and it's hard to describe what that means, but it has a much simpler interface. There's very few different types of ways to click on things versus having a bunch of them. And the graphics when this came out were just unbelievably stellar. It was one of the first games to come out that had the environments built in true 3D. And obviously it's not 3D as you play it. It's just a bunch of pictures. But it was so intense. The graphics were so intense when it came out that they couldn't even fill the screen. The game is played in a small portion of the screen because the CD-ROM speed couldn't keep up, at the time, couldn't keep up with the massive images from the game. So really, really, really influential, really incredible game. The gameplay was awesome as well. I will admit that it was extremely perplexing for me as a kid. And it took me a long time to figure out how to get through the game, and there were multiple times when I had to cheat. But I really enjoyed this game. So let's go through the box. Well, I'll show you the front here and the back as well. And we'll open it up. And there's some pretty neat things in this box. It's mostly just papers, but there are some cool things. So put the box down here. And of course we'll start with the CD-ROM. And we've got a little manual in here. And this manual has, it's got installation instructions, details on how to play the game, reference keys, stuff like that. And then we have a Myst book available for only $3. A Broderbund troubleshooting guide. Broderbund. I remember Broderbund specifically from Where in the World is Carmen Sandiego. That came out for DOS way back in the day. Old game. Awesome game though. A Windows 3.1 troubleshooting guide. So I think Myst was out for DOS and Windows 3.1 both, actually, I think. Interesting. And then you have your famous software registration guide card that was popular at the time. It was popular at the time to register your software via the mail or via a modem. It actually has that on there as well. And then an advertisement for your Game Secrets hint book. And finally, this is probably the most interesting piece in the box. It says, warning, 3 Myst hints inside, open only if in dire need. So if you've never played Myst, I expect most people have played Myst, but if you've never played Myst, spoiler warning here. But we're going to open this up just because it's kind of cool. And then it says, hint number 1. I'm going to turn this around. Access to the places of protection starts by examining everything on the library walls. If you still need more, unfold this flap. And you unfold the flap and you get hint number 2. And it says, access to the places of protection starts by understanding the function of the map in the library. If you still need more, unfold this flap, and we get the final hint, which says, turn on the marker switches on Myst Island to activate locations on the map in the library. Rotate the tower to locations that turn the line red by clicking and holding the flashing icon on the map. Go to the tower to find the access keys. I remember once I figured out the how that all worked in Myst, I figured that out on my own. But that took a long time to figure out. For some reason, when I played Myst, my dad installed it for us. It never gave me this piece of information right here, so I had to figure that out on my own. And it was a major, major, major task. I remember it was probably months of messing around in the main Myst land before being able to figure out how to go somewhere else. So that is Myst. Great game from back in the day. Not sure when that came out. What year did that come out? That came out in 1993. So not too far away from King's Quest 6, it looks like. Interesting. So that's that. Thank you guys. Really appreciate everybody following us and watching us and subscribing to us, and everything else you guys do in our community. Do help me out by hitting the thumbs up button below. Tacky, I know, but I'm just gonna say it because that I really appreciate that. That helps us out, helps us get our videos out there. And I will see you guys next week. Take it easy.